From Eureka Entertainment comes The Island, not the Michael Bay film, not the Michael Caine film, the 1985 Hong Kong survival thriller on Blu-ray. It runs 93 minutes. It was directed by Po-Chih Leong. It was starring John Sham, Timothy Zhao, Hoi-Lun, and many other people. It is presented in Cantonese mono with optional English subtitles, and it is very interesting, very uneven for me. Can't say that I liked it, but glad I saw it. Very interesting. Very much feels like a Category 3 film, though apparently this was made before Category 3 was a thing. It is... A basic story goes a little something like this. Oh, presented by Dickson Poon, who's just one of my favorite names that I've ever heard. Hong Kong film production executive. Every time I see the name Dickson Poon, I smile, I giggle, and I thank his parents for naming him that. So the island is, it opens up on this sort of remote island off the coast of Hong Kong. It's not uninhabited. It's inhabited at least by this very strange family. Reminded me of the film Mother's Day a lot. It reminds me of other films here and there. Elderly, sickly mother who has 3 sons who are in various levels of mental instability, mental deficiency. They want to find a suitable virgin bride for the youngest, most mentally deficient son so that he can marry and reproduce and give her an heir. And the way they do that is by kidnapping tourists and torturing them into submission. And they've just done this with somebody. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. And it turns out she was not the virgin they hoped she would be. And suddenly another group of people, a teacher, John Sham, and his students are coming to visit and the students are all like in their, late teens, early 20s. This is like, think college students. They come to visit this island for like a camping trip, and this weird family, think Texas Chainsaw Massacre, runs a little convenience store, and eventually it becomes a matter of who will survive and what will be left of them. So this is very grim. It is very Category 3. If that means anything to you, Category 3 was like, let's say the version of like hard R, maybe more like NC-17 for Hong Kong in the 90s and beyond. They tended to be really sleazy films that really got into gore and violence and nudity and just immature grimness is what I always think of Category 3 for the most part. And this film kind of dances in and around that. So it's this weird mix of like really goofy, like the performance of the mentally deficient son is almost like Stephen Chow level laughable and weird. There is some goofy comedy in it here and there, but a lot of it is just really unpleasant and like a straight up thriller. Like these people realize they're in trouble. They don't 100% realize that the trouble is coming from these people who are the only civilized people on the island. And how do they survive, and how do they get out of there? And who will survive and what will be left of them, as I endlessly say. Appeals to really so many films. So it is the goofiness undercuts the thriller aspect for me. So like if this was played totally straight, it would be much more disturbing than it is, because it's really like thrilling and edge of your seat and pulse pounding and disturbing. And then the sons are like just crossing their eyes and drooling and having snot coming out their nose. And it's just like, what is this? I can't take this seriously now because you're doing that, which is an aspect of Hong Kong cinema that it's hard to take for Western eyes who are not used to that, and Western sensibilities, especially when you get into mocking the afflicted, shall we say, which the Hong Kong comedy did a lot in the 80s and 90s at least. So it's very uneven. It's very interesting to see, because apparently this is a film that had fallen off the map in Hong Kong. I'd never heard of it until this showed up, and I'm a big fan of 80s, mid 80s to early 90s Hong Kong cinema, which was some of the best movies like I know came from there then. And it's just wild and I was just so like gorging on those films in screenings, theatrical screenings in Boston, and VCDs and DVDs and all kinds of stuff like that. So again, we live in a golden age of Hong Kong cinema home video releases right now, where all of these labels, most notably, or one of the most notable being Eureka, is making all this stuff available in the UK and in the US. And I'm very glad they put that out here, even if it's a movie I don't necessarily know if I would recommend to anybody. So, as I say, elements of Chainsaw Massacre, Mother's Day, Straw Dogs, Hills Have Eyes. It makes you think of a lot of things. Extras on this include a commentary by Frank Zheng, Hong Kong cinema expert and a former resident of Hong Kong, who just knows a ton of stuff about everybody involved in the film and the location. So he will tell you about the history of this island where the film was shot, what it's like now, what it was like then. It's very, very informative. Another commentary by Mike. It's like the yin yang. I love when these two groups are together. You have Frank Zhang, pretty much a serious, straight-ahead commentary, but also fun to listen to. And then you have Mike Leader and Arne Venema, who are on a lot of these Hong Kong commentary tracks, and they are much more lighter in tone, much more jokey, much more dishy about stuff, and have a lot of experience in the Hong Kong film industry for several years up to almost the present, so they can really tell you a lot about what it was like to work with these people, what these people were like, what these people also did in terms of on-screen and behind the camera talent, and cultural Hong Kong stuff too, coming through the eyes of Caucasian people who live there. So their commentaries are always really good, and I literally just finished listening to it, and it was a lot of fun. You get 2 video extras. One is Tony Raines on the island. That's 17 minutes long. He gives sort of a scholarly look back at the film with stills and clips and things like that. And you get Surviving the Shoot, a masterclass with Po-Chih Leong, the director of the film, that was done at a filmed at Udine Phef. Totally mispronounced that, sure. From 2023, so just a couple years ago. It's a 22-minute talk about how the film was made at a screening of the film at a film festival very recently, and then you get the trailer. So as always with Eureka, very nice release, comes with a slipcase, comes with a booklet, which I just don't happen to have next to me right now, but the booklets are very thorough and very interesting with additional writing on the film. Very much worth picking up if you're a fan of Hong Kong cinema from this era. Horror, edgy, cult Hong Kong film from this era. On Blu-ray from Eureka, The Island. Not that one. Or that one. The Hong Kong one. From '85.